So I like working with a grayer tone. So you can start color picking, but if you don't have a range, it's really hard. So I want to try and see what I can start from the photo here and be able to kind of block things in this way. So using this as a start, being able to kind of block things in, I want to start to block in areas within here. So you have your darker gray tone here, and then I want to, which has this greener feel to it. So I want to start shifting things towards a warmer color. So I'm still working within the grays here. And I want to start changing things up over on this side here.
Do you have this layer on multiply, or is it just
No, my line work is on multiply, and then this layer is just a flat layer.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah. So it's normal. Okay.
So I want to block in the shape of it down really quickly. Seeing that shape within this building here. And this is where most of the process is in blocking in flats, where you could start to see objects and elements start to kind of come into play. So making sure we can block these elements in here. See where that is. So getting these shapes in there. You have these flats within here. And let's start getting into our focal points. So as we transition buildings into elements in the background, you want to start to get a bit more colorful. Slightly warmer in tone. Okay, so start to see the shapes happening within there. And then let me get a shape in for the groundwork. Super blue, we don't want that, but we do want the shape. Once you have the shape in there, you can start to slightly adjust the saturation and the tone a bit more. Okay, so block in the layer for so a lot of this class I want to try and focus a lot of it on the finishes that I'll be doing within the mentorship. So it really feels different from a sketching class. Um, we'll start to do a bit of ideation and concept because I remember in school there was this point within our academic term where we were focusing so much just on observation and design that just the whole idea of creating a concept for something was really foreign to a lot of students. And I really want to try and break that mold and that feeling. Like how do you come up with a concept for an illustration? How do you make sure it works with either the story that you're telling? How do you make sure that it works as a cover? How do you know that that's the right way to do it? And because once you get to a level where you're really good at executing observation, the next step is how do you take that and tell um, a story with it? How do you create an ad for it? How do you create a book for it? How do you create good design that goes around that? And these are all elements that was taught to us in school by different teachers with different backgrounds. And that's something that I want to be able to make sure that that gets passed along as well. And I probably could have gone into a different type of industry, but I would still carry that whole idea of illustration with me because whatever I was doing, whether it was freelancing or video games or theme parks, that whole idea of telling a story and making sure that what you were doing um, holds strong to an idea and a story, and that the whole idea of executing things um, goes with the project and the story that you're telling. And that's the important thing instead of just going off and creating something on your own and just um, painting and making sure, not just making sure the painting works well, but it kind of ties to a certain idea or project. And that's what's important.
So when it comes to background, like designing the background, is this more or less the process you would follow, or is it something a little different?
This is the process that I would follow in order to kind of block things in. But I want to
Right.
take things towards an experimentation level where you're experimenting with the color. So even though at this first stage, this might not be the color that I'm going to end up with, but I need to make sure that the shape kind of reads in this.
So as you're putting down the colors, you're always thinking about the shapes, the silhouettes, and of course the readability.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I would love to see how you take it experimental. That would be really cool.
Yeah, yeah. That's something that not a lot of artists kind of know how to do or what to do. And a lot of that is just a combination of a lot of different films that we've worked on.
Because I see in your like the early work you showed, like those are so cool and super experimental.
Yeah, and be able to kind of take that in digitally to a world. But this part of the process, I wanted to kind of show within this workshop just on the idea of blocking things in. And I wanted to show the stage of how careful you should be um, because you're not creating a color key just for color key's sake, but the whole idea of the shape that you're putting down will affect how your final piece will come out. So you have this shape that kind of comes out there. So even within the artist Tadahiro Usagi, he's a Japanese artist, like a fashion illustrator. But the way he kind of works within color, he always starts with the blocking as well. And sometimes you'll see some of the edges kind of filter through with his fills. He doesn't always kind of go back in and cover up this outline halo that's around the piece. You can start to see it like around there. The halo happens here because he either doesn't have the time or he really wants to try a different version before going in. So I just want to see how much it affects the final look. And if it doesn't affect it too much, I wouldn't go back in as much.